Hello book fighters, it's Thursday, October 4th, and this week I read How to Grow a Novel by Souls Time. I read this book because it's NaNoWriMo, and I figured it would help, what with the writing all the time. But I didn't really like it. It's not one that I would recommend to other writers. Maybe if you're just getting started and you've only ever written by yourself and haven't really had any formal training or anything like that, then maybe this could be helpful, but I didn't find it extraordinarily helpful. It kind of repeated back the same things that I already know from reading and from doing writing of my own. So it wasn't especially helpful in that regard. It is a little bit helpful in that it reminds you of the things that you should be thinking about that you know already, but that's as much as I gleaned from this one. And what really bothered me about this one, because it'd be one thing if it wasn't anything new, then I could still recommend it to people that it would help, is that the author keeps quoting himself, and he's just so pretentious, and he talks about his writing, and he only talks about people that he's published that have gone on to be rich and famous, and it's just like, the whole time it's like, oh, you need help with your novel? Well, let me show you what I've done. Isn't it marvelous? And it makes me crazy. It's annoying to read, and it wasn't especially helpful on top of that. But I don't know, Caleb Nation recommended this book in a blog a couple years ago, which is why I bought it, and it's just kind of been sitting on my bookshelf since then. I guess it helped him, but for me, it was kind of just a useless distraction from my Nano. And speaking of Nano, because I need to be focusing on writing and not so much on reading, all of the books that I read this month are going to be very, very short, which means that it is the month of Joey Camo. So we are going to read Overqualified by Joey Camo, and I just ordered Bible Camp Bloodbath, his new book, so that should be coming in the mail soon. Oh, I'm sorry about the video issues last week. I did post a video on Thursday, but about 2 minutes into it, the sound cut out, and the whole rest of it was a silent film. So I tried again over the weekend, and the sound kept cutting out. So I think that I know how to fix it. So I'm going to post that this weekend, so that it doesn't, knock the rest of you guys out of your subscription boxes and there's not like an overload of Book Fighters videos. But it will go up, so that is why I'm not going to answer any of the questions that were asked for that video, because you will hear the answers this weekend. Questions for this week. Lauren's question. I think you were asking about the notion of deconstruction and whether the changing nature of language and its imperfect means of communication takes anything away from authorial intent. I think that's what you were getting at. And to that I would say no. I think that because language is imperfect, that's why we write. That's why we have novels and poetry especially, because there's that break in the message between what you're trying to say and what another person hears. And sometimes there just aren't words to describe the things that you want to say. That's why we have literature and poetry and art especially, is just to communicate the ineffable, the things that we don't have words for, or that language is not suitable enough to communicate. So no, I don't think it takes anything away from authorial intent. To ask the question that other people were answering, though I don't think it's the question you were actually answering, authorial intent matters when you're writing the book. I think that you have to have a concept, and the authorial intent shapes the novel. What the author's trying to communicate shapes what they're writing. But that's as far as it goes. Once that gets put out there, then hopefully those ideas came across. But it's not the reader's responsibility to find those, it's the author's responsibility to portray them. And I think that any reading of a novel, any analysis, is equally valid. Sarah's question was about playlists for our novel, 5 songs that 5 to 10 songs that define our novel. I made a playlist. The link is in the doobly-doo, so you can go and listen to it. But a few songs off of it that I think really define my novel the most: Cavanaugh Park by Something Corporate, Postcards from Hell by Zebrahead, We Are Pilots by The Shiny Toy Guns, Colorado Sunrise by 303, and Everything Is Alright by Motion City Soundtrack. But you can see the full playlist, which is longer than those 5 songs, if you follow the link in the bookshelf. I think there was one more asking about a one-sentence summary of our nano novels. Young man searches for identity and autonomy after the realization that love is not enough. That's all I have for you this week. Good luck with your nano novels, and Julia, I will see you tomorrow.